Hi, so this active reading assignment is looking again at author's purpose. We're going to read an article called Do Family Meals Matter? And in that article we're going to ask self-questions, questions that you will write in your notes, and then try to find the answers for those questions in the article that you're going to read. So let's take a look here. This is the page in your textbook just before the article begins, and so I'll just cover this with you in the video. The article is called Do Family Meals Matter? And we are analyzing author's purpose. It says that a research report is an expository nonfiction or writing that informs. So this article it's not a story, it's an informative article. It's giving you information. It's expository nonfiction. The purpose of a research report is to present and explain the facts that a researcher has gathered about a topic. Often the information is presented in text features such as charts and graphs. So let's just take a look here at some charts and graphs. So here's another page, and when we're talking about charts, we're talking about things like these. This is an example of a chart or a graph, and it takes the information that is presented in the text here, these statistics, and makes it visual. It's so that you can see the relationships with the numbers. And so we're going to look for things in the article like the title. For example, here, Do Family Meals Matter? The heads, we've talked about that before. In other active reading assignments, these are the titles for sections of parts of the article. And then here the report includes numerical data that supports the author's purpose. So we're looking for numerical data, and you can often find that inside charts and graphs. And those things you can use to help you make your self-questions for this article. So here's another example. When you look in the text, you'll see a head. For example, here, this is the head. It identifies the topic. And so this part of the text is about views on family meals. And you can see that inside of here, there are, I won't read everything here, but here it says 98% of the parents said. So the numerical report includes data. And here's another example, 64% of the adolescents. So those are data points. They are numbers that the author includes because the author is presenting you some research. And so what we're going to focus on are asking these self-questions. So here are two kinds of examples. There are two kinds of self-questions that I'd like you to practice in this active reading assignment. So number one, we have right there answers. So those are easy to find. You can just see them. They're right there. They're in the text. So for example, it says sometimes you can point to the text and say the answer to a question. It's right there. You ask, so this is your self-question. For example, in your active reading assignment, imagine you're doing this question. This is a self-question. What percent of teenagers agree that family meals are important? And then you answer because you can see it's in the text. It says 64% of adolescents in the study agreed. And remember, we can see that, you see it has quotation marks at the end there. You can see that, right? There's, oops, sorry about that. I lost the control of the video for a second. So I was just saying here that we know, we know that this is coming from the text because it's got quotation marks there. Remember, in your active reading, when you do your active reading, anytime you take something out of the text, you have to put it in those quotation marks. So just remembering that. And so we were talking about right there answers. So those are ones you can just find right there in the reading. And then there are other ones where you have to search and you kind of have to put it together. You have to read and then put together the answers. You have to think a little bit more about it. These are think and search answers. So sometimes you have to put information together from different parts of the report to find an answer. So your self-question, this is you ask in your, imagine you're asking this in your active reading assignment. Your self-question is, what are the advantages of eating regular family meals? Well, it's not just right there. Like it's not just, it doesn't just say, the author doesn't just write, well, the advantages of eating regular meals are family meals are blah, 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 blah. You can't just find it like that. You have to kind of search. So there are answers to this question throughout the report. You have to keep reading to find them. All right, so let's do a couple examples for you. All right, so let me give you an example of each of those kinds of questions, a right there question and a think and search question. So our first question is a right there question, and remember these are ones that you can just find some data and it'll just be right there. You'll be like, oh, there's the answer right there. I just read it. So here we go. Here it is. How often do younger children eat with their parents? And as you're reading here, the head is Do Family Meals Matter? Eating Together. I'm sorry, the title is Do Family Meals Matter? And the head is Eating Together. So this part is about eating together because the head is eating together. And it says family meals are more common among younger children than adolescents. Data from the National Study of Adolescent Health shows that about 74% of 12 to 14-year-olds had eaten 5 or more meals with their parents. So with a parent during the previous week. Okay, so right there, there's a right there answer. I didn't even have to finish it. I mean, you should read it, of course, but I got it. It's right there. It's a right there answer. So the answer is right there. It's 74% of 12 to 14-year-olds have eaten 5 or more evening meals with their parents during the previous week. So there's a right there question, and there's the answer. So what about the other type of question where you kind of have to think about it, you have to search for it? All right, so let me give you an example of one of those other kinds of questions where you kind of have to search for it. It's called a think and search question. It's not like the right there questions where you just kind of see the statistic or the data and it pops out at you and it's right there. There's the answer. These kind of questions, you kind of have to put it together. The author that writes the article is not just going to give you the answer like those right there questions. You got to kind of put it together and think about it. Now this one's this one's almost right there. It's pretty easy to see this one. But anyways, here it is. When kids get older, do they eat more or less with their parents? So you're reading, and then you read here, and we read that 74% of 12 to 14-year-olds had eaten 5 or more evening meals with the parent during the previous week. Okay, so that's 74%. And then this figure fell to 61% for 15 or 16-year-olds. So it fell, it's going down, and as the kids get older, it dropped. Oh, now it's really, really going down. To 42% for 17 and 19-year-olds. So you can see there, if you put that together, you can see, well, they're younger, there's more, and then they get older and not so much. And then you can also use the chart or the graph to find that answer too, because the author is using this to show you, to demonstrate visually this trend, this pattern, the way that things develop. So it looks like as kids get older, the answer to this question is that they eat less with their parents. So there's a couple of examples for you of how to do a think and search question and a right there question. All right, so now when we're looking at our active reading assignment, we're just going to do exactly that. We're going to look through the text and we're going to look at the head, the title, we're going to look at the charts, the graphs, and the data that's inside of the article. And we're going to try to make right there questions and find the answers to those, and then some think and share. So try to do both. You're not required to do either one, but let's try to see if you can do both of them. But just make sure that you try to do about one question per page. You don't have to find like exactly one per each page. There are like 7 pages in this article, so I put up here 7 questions for you to do. So why don't you do 7? Read through it and try to find, I can easily see there's some right there questions there for sure. And definitely, oh yeah, I mean, I'm reading through this right now. I can definitely find there's some think and search questions here for sure. So look through this article, create some self questions that you find the answers to. Make sure you put your page numbers in there as well. Don't forget your quotation marks for any of your answers whenever you take something directly from the text. Unless you're going to paraphrase it, please remember to put quotation marks around it. And remember, ask me for help if you need any help doing this assignment. Thank you.